Hello, extraordinaries, and welcome back to another episode of the High Performance Consciousness Podcast. My name is Matthew Patty, and again, today we will go into a very, very exciting episode talking about quantum highways and how to train your focus with laser-like precision so that you can achieve results faster than ever before in your business and in your personal life. So let's define what quantum highways are. So let me give you an analogy, and this is an analogy that I give my clients quite often, and it is, let's say you've got a 4 or a 5 lane highway or freeway. Each one of these lanes represents a different project, a different idea, a different outcome that you want to experience in your business. And each one of these lanes, you will travel it at different speeds. So typically on a highway, you will have a slow lane for those trucks and heavier vehicles, or for those people that like to travel well below the recommended speed limit. And we all know those types of people. Watch out for the hats in the back window. So jokes aside, you've got the slow lane, and then as you move left or right, depending on whether you're in the northern hemisphere or southern hemisphere, in each lane, you will increase your speed. So when we're thinking about quantum highways, we're thinking about staying in certain lanes and focusing on certain lanes to achieve certain outcomes. And you may have heard it many, many times in performance coaching or in productivity. Focus and clarity is staying in your lane, not getting pulled out of your lane by others, the opinions of others, or by distraction, or the shiny object syndrome, or self-limiting beliefs, or any of these imposter syndrome sort of case studies. So when you think about a quantum highway, it's very, very easy to write it out on a piece of paper. And you might say, look, I've got 4 or 5 main ideas right now, or 4 or 5 projects, i.e. 4 or 5 certain outcomes that I want to achieve in my business. One might be that you want to enroll people in a brand new course that you're about to launch. It might be signing on some private high-end clients. It could be getting a website done and starting to do some marketing, or whatever it's got to be. Essentially, you want to help your mind defrag all the complexity and distortion around having so many ideas and being pulled in so many directions at once by putting everything in a single lane. And when you place everything in its own lane, then you can determine and give preference and priority to which lane you want to focus on first. So when you are looking at breaking down each project into a lane, then you go to the end. And if you've been listening to all of my podcasts, which I highly encourage you to do over and over again until that sinks right in nice and deeply, so that you can really savor all the wisdom and all the strategies and techniques that I'm sharing with you, so you can bend reality faster. So you go to the end of each lane and say, what is the destination? Because when you're on a highway, you are traveling to a point in the future. You're traveling somewhere, whether it's to the corner store, to see your Aunt Betty, or whether it's to go and catch up with someone, or to travel home, whatever it's got to be. You have a destination in mind. So once you break down all of your ideas into key projects, i.e. individualizing them into each lane, or allocating them a separate or an individual lane, then go to the end of that project, i.e. the end of the lane, and look at what you want to achieve. What is the end result that you're wanting to experience? What is the end? And there are 2 parts to the end. And this is a perfect example that where I see a lot of people focusing on one or the other, but not both, because the third dimension is all. I'll focus on the material outcomes rather than the quantum outcomes. So the material outcomes are, it's either the launch of a business or the sale of something or the return on an investment or whatever it's got to be. Instead, I'm focusing on the materiality, but I'm not giving any credence to the clarity and the vibration of feeling of it having been experienced right now. So we're blending both hemispheres, how it functions logically and how it feels from the biochemical perspective when you are enrolling yourself in the end through the vision of that outcome being real and realized in this now moment. Does it make sense? I hope it does. So you go to the end, you make sure that it's got both parts of the equation. What's the result you want to experience? And therefore, what's the experience you want to create? And the experience is a biochemical signature within the body. Remember that an event is the precursor to an experience. So you might say that the event is the sale of a business, the sale of a coaching client or a program or whatever it's got to be. That is an event. Now, how you experience that event is what you're after. That's the golden thread right there. So what does it feel like? What does it look like? Who are you in that new end as an expression of that experience? Okay? So quantum highways are very, very simple linear logical terms that I use to segment some of your ideas, defrag all this, distraction of having too many things to do, whether you've got lots of small items or tasks to do or lots of large items. So you can start to place each one in its own lane based on what its function is aligned with the desired end you want to experience. Making sense so far? So the quantum aspect is the fact that when you identify the end, what is your destination? What is the end experience of each lane? You can begin enrolling yourself neurologically, biologically, and energetically in that experience as an already fulfilled event. Make sense? Then you work backwards and you go back from that experience and you start to cultivate and plan what needs to have happened prior to the event occurring for the event to have occurred. So it could be creating a website. It could be putting together some web copy. It could be, actually speaking to people, sending out some messages. It could be part of meditation or guided visualization, all the stuff that I talk about. So you reverse engineer the end and you're looking from the future, which is your end. You're looking back through time, i.e. the lane, and observing what must have occurred in the world of matter, in the world of objects and things, for you to be experiencing that end. I encourage you to go back and listen to this part many times, and so you can really, really get it. This is a game changer, an absolute game changer, and I'm giving it to you for free because I want you to leap in your results. I want you to really bend your mind and your physiology around the concept that what you desire is not a waiting game. That's not the game to play, of waiting for the results to arrive. If you can see it in your end very clearly, you can feel the end wholly, then you can assume through assumption that the end exists. And by enrolling yourself morning and evening, day in, day out, and taking aligned action during your day in that lane based on what you've observed has already taken place in order for you to experience the desired outcome, i.e. the event that leads to the experience, then you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to feel in flow. You're not going to be subscribing to that model of time for money, that model of effort for reward, all those sorts of things. So let's go back to the lanes. Now, each lane is a different speed. Now, you may look at 2 or 3 of the projects and say they are going to take at least, with all the moving parts and the bells and whistles and enrolling people to help you, whatever it may be, to build out certain aspects. It might be a 2, 3, 4 week campaign, or it could be a 2, 3, 4 month build out in order to construct and engineer the sequence and all the moving parts for you to launch, and therefore to be the recipient, the beneficiary of your experience on the other side. So you start to look and say, well, what is highest priority based on speed of execution? This is going to take me a week to do with my team, or a week to do with myself, whatever it's going to be. What's the net outcome? Is the outcome a big, chunky outcome that has a very clean, preferential experience attached to it that you really desire? If that's the case, then go ahead and start doing that lane. And that lane, you don't move from that lane. You don't change lanes until that whole project is completed, i.e. it's completed, it's launched, and the fulfillment, i.e. the experience after the event, has already occurred. So you start moving through each of the lanes one by one. And any and every time that I've suggested this to clients, there has been resistance that has come up at the beginning. But, I'm so used to being distracted. I'm so used to being multitasking. I'm so used to feeling the stress and the anxiety and the overwhelm of multitasking and having all these plates spinning at different speeds at the same time. Make sense? Does that feel like it's something that you relate with? Because it's all too often the case that we give unconscious attention to that which we are unconsciously competent in. So we are not fully cognizant of the fact that we are running a program, that we are running this rinse and repeat cycle of effort and grind and wanting to make our way through the matrix in a linear fashion, moving from point A to point B and taking action based on small tasks that are giving us the sensation, i.e. our bodily feedback or feedback through our body senses, that we are achieving something. So we end up spinning our wheels, or we end up over-grinding. And over-grinding at the mill, you will actually destroy the seed, and you destroy the product, because you're actually whittling away the experience and the enjoyment of building it, because you do not have a clear, focused realization of your end goal. You aren't intentionally moving through time. You are moving through time in a linear, contracted fashion. Okay? So it sounds like a bit of tough love, and yet it is one thing that when you get over yourself enough to try this and really stick to it, you will see the results. That's my promise. So like I was saying before, when I first mention it to clients, there is resistance. But how can I just focus on one thing? What about all these other opportunities? What about all these things that are half done, third done, a quarter done, or I've just started? What happens to those things? Are they going to burn off? Is the opportunity going to evaporate and leave? And there is this imminent sense of loss. Essentially, there's this sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. So I need to have my fingers in all these pies because that's the way I've operated in the past in order to get ahead, or essentially to stay within the bandwidth of survival. Okay, so again, some tough love. Focus on your end. Unpack all of your ideas into lanes, and then look at your end of each lane and determine a very, very clear outcome. How does it look? How does it function? And how does it feel as an experience fulfilled, or as an event that is now giving you the sense of fulfillment through that experience? Okay? Because it's very easy in business to lose ourselves in busyness. It's very easy to lose sight of our end because we are depleted, tired, potentially frustrated and overwhelmed by all the efforting and the movement through specific tasks. Critical, absolutely critical. You will find your productivity will smash through any ceilings. You will find that the experiences that you seek will find you in auspicious and synchronous ways that you could not possibly have constructed with the old self, in the old model, running things the old way. And let me just put a little nice quantum bend and spin on this for you. If you were to identify your end, what is the key, what is the destination of each lane, then let's just say, as you reverse engineer what needs to have happened in the past, i.e. moving from right to left backwards through that lane in order for you to experience what you are now observing through your clarity as your preferred end, you will invariably attract people, resources, opportunities, synchronous moments, serendipitous moments, events and circumstances that were unforeseen at the time of you creating the desired clarity and being clear and focused on the end. So you could say that it's your future self that is experiencing the clarity and the fulfillment of your desired end. It's your future self that is placing these resources, tools, people, places, events, synchronous moments on your path, in your lane, as you travel from left to right on the page, experiencing time. Something to think about. So you essentially are in collaboration with your future self, the future self that is operating in a new now that is clear, focused, appreciative of the fulfillment of your desired end right now. And that's why morning and evening routines are very important to re-enroll, re-immerse, and remind the cells, remind the neurology, remind your energetic system and the energetic signature that you are emitting to the quantum field that this is occurring and has already occurred in this now moment. Because each of these lanes with its own time mechanism appears to be operating within a time matrix, appears to be operating in a slow, rhythmical pattern, when in fact it is all operating right now. And so the future self that is dropping those divine breadcrumbs back along the lane that you are picking up as your physical self is doing the work during the day, you're one and the same. You are both operating in the now. One is moving forward in time. The other is observing events backwards in time from the future. Let that spin you a little. It's a very advanced concept that can be made very, very simple, and I encourage you to try it. I'd love your feedback on this. Quantum lanes, quantum highways, quantum results. So from me here to wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in the field, dream a better dream. And remember, it is all you, baby. See you in the field.